Hi guys, Mimi G here. Welcome back to my channel. So I was getting ready to sew a project and I thought, you know what, let me sort of do a quick video where I'm sharing with you what my plan is, what I'm going to sew, and then maybe even do a sew along later this week. So I've been thinking about making another version of McCall's 7967, which you guys saw me in. I made it in a green and black polka dot fabric, and I loved that dress so much. And I got so many requests for a sew along. It's super simple, but you guys wanted me to show you anyway, so I thought, let's do that. But before we do the sew along later this week, I thought, let me show you the fabrics that I'm thinking on using. I haven't quite decided yet, and some of the tools that I'm gonna need along with the pattern pieces we need to cut to sort of get you guys ready for the actual sew along that I will post later this week, and then we'll relink in the description box below of this video. So let me show you the fabrics I'm thinking of using. Okay guys, so I'm gonna be making this 7967, and I mean, I've already made it, so I know how simple this dress is. Really, it's just a couple of pieces, front, back, sleeve, and I'll go through those in a second. But I did do sort of a combo. The last time I made it, I did the length for B. So I used the front for B, but I ended up doing sort of this little gathering for the front to create that little V shape. And I did use the sleeves for B. I thought about doing a different sleeve, but quite honestly, I really like that. And that's the sleeve you guys asked me for. So we'll just go ahead and when we do the sew along, I'll do the longer length. So I'm gonna do D when we do the sew along with this little sort of V gathering at the center front and the sleeves from B. Now in the back of the pattern envelope, you guys should already know this if you're sewing. It gives you a list of recommended fabrics that you should use. This does require moderate stretch knits. That's what it says on the pattern envelope. I will be very honest and say that the fabric I used for my green and black polka dot had very little stretch to it. Actually, it did not have anywhere near 35% stretch cross grain. Given that, if you don't need it to stretch significantly, you have a bit more options, but you cannot use a woven. It does a completely different beast. So it does need to have some stretch. The tighter you make it to the body, the less stretch or the more stretch you need. I'm gonna be making size extra small because when I made my last one, I actually cut a small and a medium at the hip, and I needed to take it in quite a bit after I was done sort of sewing the sides together. So I recut my pattern a bit to a smaller size. So keep that in mind. Remember, when you're using a knit fabric, you're working with a negative ease, meaning that you want it to be smaller than your body, right? Because you want it to like snap onto your shape. So I will say that I have 3 different fabrics that I'm thinking of using. And they all have different stretch factors, right? So I really love this black and white polka dot. And this was initially my first choice, but it's more of a double knit. It's like a really lightweight double knit. And I love this fabric. The only problem with this fabric is that it has a nice amount of stretch, but when we stretch it, you get that white visibility, right? Because the underside of the fabric is white. And so if I make it too snug and it pulls, or let's say that I'm wearing it and it's not that snug, but when I put it on and I sit or I bend over and it stretches across my body, that's what you're gonna see, right? And so this probably will not make for a good choice. Now, if it was a solid double knit, like a red or really any color solid knit, double knit, that would be really nice because it has a little bit more weight, right? So it creates a little bit more coverage, but also we wouldn't be working with this white background so that when you pull it, especially you'll see this a lot in prints, it's gonna show through and that's not a good look. The second option that I found also at Joann's, these are actually all from Joann's. This one I actually really loved. It's like a brushed knit. What that means is that it's soft to the hand. It really feels almost like Like it could be a pajama fabric, but it feels really nice. What I do love about this is that it has a nice dark floral, and dark florals are very in for the fall. Not that I care because I wear what I want, but I really like florals on dark backgrounds. And this one has sort of that navy background with the black and the colors, and I thought that was really pretty. The one thing I did check for at the store, right, was the same thing. I wanted to make sure that you didn't see it. So now this one has a lot more stretch, and what I like is that it's a four-way stretch, meaning it stretches this way and it stretches this way, right? So depending on how you are going to be using your pattern, you could cut it either way. For me, we're going to be stretching this way. So if I stretch this way, I stretch quite a bit before I see that white underside. So I could use this and it would be fine, because I'm not going to make it that small that when I stretch it across my body, it's going to be that super tight that you'll see that white. But in the other direction, let me show you. If you pull on it, you can see it right away. So just something to keep in mind, especially when you're buying knits at the store and it's going to be for something that's fitted to your body, to do that little test first. Now this is the one I'm leaning towards. This is probably going to be my choice. I love this fabric. I actually made a dress already from this same exact fabric, but in a navy blue. It was a closet case pattern. I think it was the Nettie bodysuit / dress, and I love this fabric. Not only do I really like the cable knit, right? So you get the illusion of that it's a cable knit, but also that it's not super heavy. It's actually, I don't know, I would say like a medium weight. It feels a little bit like the weight of a double knit, but it has sort of a silkier side on the underside, which is really nice. And then, like I said, it has that really pretty cable knit on the top. And I just love this color. I think it always looks really good on me. So I think I'm going to end up using this one. A couple things that you want to consider is when I first looked at the instructions, I just gave it a once over. A lot of times I could just sort of give the instructions a look over and then set them aside, and I don't really need them. But this was one of those things where I could literally see that it was front and back sleeve and then not much to it. So we're gonna do that so long with no problems. But I will show you just so you guys can see. So the front, depending on whether you're making view A, B, C, or D, the only thing that changes is that A, B, and C has one front, and view D has a different front, because view D, if you can tell slightly, it's a higher neckline, right? This one has more of a U-neck, so that's what we use to create this little gathering here in the center front. You just do elastic, and you guys will see me do that. And I will show you my preferred method when we do the sew along. So if you are doing view D, just know that you're not going to be able to do this little front thing because it comes up too high, okay? So we are using the front for A, B, and C. Aside from that, really we just attach sew at the side seams and the shoulders, then we're going to attach our sleeve, and we finish the neckline by just turning under the seam allowance. So this is a really great, easy dress, especially when you want to sew something, you don't have a whole lot of time, or sometimes you want mindless sewing. I do that a lot, where I just don't want to think. I just want to make something super easy and fast and gratifying. This is a really good project for that. Aside from the fabric, you're going to obviously need thread that coordinates with your fabric, but also two things that I want you to consider. One is I'm going to be using a jersey ballpoint needle. If you watched my video where I talked about the 11 mistakes that new sewists should avoid, I talk about changing your needles often, but I also talk about testing your needle on the fabric that you're going to use. So although, yes, we're using a knit, and technically a stretch or a ballpoint needle would work just fine, depending on how much stretch or fibers your fabric has, it could make a huge difference on how your stitching looks. So I will generally say I'm going to use a jersey needle. I put it in, put my thread through, and then I just stitch a couple of lines to make sure that the needle works well with my fabric. And then if not, I just try something else. I think a jersey needle is going to be fine, but just a heads up, you should have jersey and ballpoint, and even sometimes a Microtex works really nice for knits. And then the only other thing that I am going to show you guys when we do the sew along is that I use this clear swimsuit elastic. You can find this at Joann's. It's just clear elastic, basically. And what I do with it is I stabilize my shoulders if I'm using a knit fabric. And also, this is what I use to stitch over the gathering rows that I make to create that little V-neck shape. So we are going to be using this. It's not necessary. I mean, you don't absolutely have to have it, but if you can swing it and you're going to be near a Joann's or whatever and you can pick some up, this is a really cool thing to have sort of in your sewing room. All right, guys, before I let you go, I'm just going to show you the pieces we're going to be using. So I'm going to do the same sleeve that I did before. So I'm going to be using pattern piece number 4, and I'm going to be using pattern piece number 6. So this is the band, right, for the lower band of the sleeve. And then for the front, I told you it's super easy. It's just 4 pieces. You're going to be cutting out pattern piece number 2, which is the back of A, B, C, and D. And you're going to be cutting pattern piece number 1, which is the front of A, B, and C. Remember to pay attention and don't accidentally cut out view D unless you intend on making that one. So that's everything. I have my fabric choices together. I have all the tools that I need, and I have my pattern cut out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my fabric, get everything ready, and I will see you for the sew along. All right, guys, I hope that you found that interesting enough that you're gonna wanna sew along with me. So go and grab your fabric. I will link to the fabrics that I have here if I can find them online for you guys in the description box. If not, I know that Joann currently has some really cool knits. That's where I got my blue one. So if you're interested, I will try and find it online and link to it. If you're not following me on Instagram, make sure and follow @MimiGStyle, and I will see you later this week with the sew along. Peace.